to the talk box for sign. You're listening to the talk box. Let's talk about it. Talk about it. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. Yeah, you're listening to the talk box for sign. You're listening to the talk box. Let's talk about it. Talk about it. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. Talk box.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. Rise and shine. It's your girl Sonia here on the Talk Box. I just want to welcome you this morning. We appreciate you tuning in. We do have a special guest that's going to be coming on with us today. I hope all is well. And guess what? Today is another opportunity to get some things right that we didn't quite get right on yesterday. That's why it is Thankful Thursday. And today we are talking about our children. What about our children? We hear about all of the school shootings. We hear about the transgender issue. We hear about the difference in parenting and that sort of thing and childhood trauma. But I'm here to tell you today that our children are not our future, not just our future. They are the future. So we need to get in a hurry trying to protect our babies from guns, protect our babies from childhood trauma, protect our babies. So I am so excited today that we're going to be on speaking with our guest, Pastor James Turner from New Hope Church. He is a youth advocate. He is advocating for our youth, and we're just glad to have him in the house on today. Good morning, good morning, good morning. How are you?
Good morning, doing well. It's bright and early.
Good. It is good to see you. I know I got you up early today, but we are so thankful to have you here on the Talk Box Show, talking about our children. I was just saying how everything is going on in the world, the shootings, the school shootings, the transgender issue, all of that. But we've got to learn how to live in peace, number one, and we got to allow to people to hear us, and we need to sit still and listen to them. Communication rules the nation.
Absolutely.
So what's going on with you?
Nothing, just still working in the ministry, pastoring, working with youth organizations, running my own mentoring program called True Gentlemen. It's been around for years. We're just expanding it now to other organizations and doing a lot of more community work, not only through the church, but just, those who call on myself or others to come and be a part. And just continue to fight this good fight when it comes to social justice, civil rights, and what is going on in Tennessee. So it keeps me busy, standing alongside, other grassroots organizations, helping out when I can, adding my wisdom and influence, and, trying to raise the next generation of leaders and successful youth in the city and hopefully around the world by training the next me, training the next generation. And so I'll be able to, at some point, not retire, but just stand more and more and more back in the shadows and help push my young people and push them into leadership and train them and give them all my expertise. And I just love seeing that, seeing other young people take the stand, taking the leadership initiative. And I'm seeing that now more and more. And I just want to just continue to push them and offer my support and stand beside and behind them and pushing them to their greatness, which they're already shown.
You know, we were talking earlier,
Mm-hmm.
and we were talking about how we old heads need to go ahead and pass the baton sometimes,
Right.
and that's
Absolutely.
okay.
Yeah.
But we can't pass the baton if we're not doing anything, if we're
Right.
not trying to help our children, if
Yeah.
we're not advocating for gun control, if we're not advocating to protect our babies.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just asking you, as an advocate for our young people, what do we need to do?
Well, first of all, my heart again goes out to all of the covenant victims and their families and the children who have to experience that trauma. And I pray for them, for their minds to be restored and they get healed, and their parents. That's a very traumatic time for the staff, the students, and the parents who have to witness that. And the parents have to bury their children, and the families have to bury their other loved ones of those 6. So in that saying, yes, they looking at the information, Covenant done everything right, and I think we do everything right. We hate to try to get to the point where our churches and our schools have to have a armed officer there. Again, a shout out goes out to, I'm still on the board to the Community Oversight Board, where we do hold the police accountable, but they did a good job in going in and handling business and getting rid of rid of the threat, so more lives wouldn't be killed. But we try to do our best to keep the schools safe with bulletproof doors and cameras and all those things, putting police in every school and every church. But really, the first thing we got to try to get that AR-15 banned from the hands of citizens. We have to have red flag laws. We have to have gun laws. We're just, you go from Tennessee, you go to Texas. We have some of the most lenient laws when it comes to guns. Don't have to do any classes. You just get one. You can buy and carry. And so these are things we got to work for. And I think what you saw last week, even from the exposure to my brothers, Justin Jones and Justin Pearson, thank you that they made it back. Our city council of Nashville and the city council of Memphis just brought them back. But you have, we have to fight these legislation. But you see what's going on in Tennessee. You see what's going on today. That the NRA runs the Republican Party, and they're just following suit, and they're going to choose profit. They're going to choose their luxury life. And long as it's not their kids getting killed or their kids not in the best of schools, they're not going to care. So they're going to meddle in Nashville. They're going to meddle in places like Murfreesboro and Memphis, and they're just going to continue until we stand up and do what Georgia did a few years back with Stacey Abrams. Get out the vote, register as many people, and turn this state blue. And until we do that, they're going to have the run of the supermajority, and they're going to continue to do what they want to do, and they're going to continue to be ran by corporations. But we have to do our part. We rank 50th in voter turnout in Tennessee, 50th.
Oh, wow.
And so and that's across all racial lines, especially in the Black community. And so if we just get out and vote, register and vote, we can flip these seats. We can take over and but vote in those persons who care about the least, the left out, and the leftovers. And then we can take care of these gun laws, they try to demolish, disband the community oversight boards across the state. They're again, you see what they did, even though we got an injunction. And so shout out to all the grassroots organizations to file that and some of the council persons to file that lawsuit against the state to stop, to cut the city council in half. But you see what we're up against. And so these are the things that even when we fight, even when we march, even when we know to do the right thing, you have people in power who don't care because their children, their loved ones, they're not living in our cities. They're not dealing with our issues because they living in Ivy Towers, they're living in their mansions, and they don't care about those who are trying to do the right thing. And as I said before, their kid not infected, their kids are homeschooled or whatever, they're not gonna care about any of us, and they're gonna follow suit with Trump. They're gonna follow suit with the party, and they don't care. So all the hollering, they're not gonna care about nothing because their mind is made up of what they want to do in their agenda.
Well, what I was saying too is our children. We used to say our children are our future. I just want to reiterate that they're not just our future; they are the future. Mm-hmm. When you look back in history, it was the young folk that did all the marching, the young folk that went to the lunch counters and sat down and was beaten and brutalized and chained to trucks and led through the city. It was the young folk. So what do you suggest that we do in order to get the young folk motivated? Sometimes I think that we've given our children a little bit too much, so to speak, because they don't realize what our ancestors had to go through to allow them to live the life that they're living right now. And with the school system, with this CRT and all of this stuff, trying to cover up our history, it says that when we don't know our history, we are deemed to repeat it. So we need to know our history and get the young folks stirred up. So what do you suggest that we do in order to get our young folk stirred back up? We know even in the word, it say a little child shall lead them. Right. So what do we need to do?
Well, we have to, one, yes, know our history, not for the sake of just looking back or saying that this generation is better than this generation. Look back at the history of the tactics that were used, that we're still using today, to look at how they did it. That's number one. Number two, look back at history, because some of those same people who were in the police suits, who beat up men and women, civil rights activists on Bloody Sunday, in Selma, Alabama, and in Birmingham. Those persons, some of them still living, some of them got their children that they put in office, that they put in seats, that they put in judges' seats. So even though we're in a different time, yes, it's a little bit easier. Yes, crosses are not burning, but they're doing cross burnings each and every day in the state capitol. They're lynching on the state capitol. They're lynching in our city jails, in the court system. So all of these things that are going on is just a new Jim Crow Esquire is what's going on. And so, yes, our young people, what I'm seeing now for these past 2 weeks, our young people have been doing, they were actually repeating history, because it was young, as you said, young people were on the streets. Young people were on the battlefield leading these marches. Dr. King was young. Fred Hampton was young when he passed away, under 30. Fred Hampton was in his 20s when he got assassinated by the Judas in Chicago with the Black Panthers party leading that organization. And so young people, we got to learn how to step out the way. They are brilliant. And what you saw high school students, you saw college students stepping up, leading marches, organizing. They were the one who led the march. They might have asked us to speak. They might have asked some of our age group to speak, but they were the one who led the marches and organized. And you see what happened. They were the ones that were in the state legislature chanting and marching and in the houses. So if we just stand behind them, show our support, they'll ask us for their wisdom. They ask us, and we just got to stand beside. But they need us to support them. And sometimes we hold up seats and we hold up opportunities. And as I said, we were talking writing a book called Stomp, of how even in our churches, we hold on to our generation so much, we don't even allow our young people in our churches to be great, or to feel or to have their own generation or their own culture or create spaces for them. When you go back to the 90s, we got a lot of mega churches that in our prospective cities. Why? Because we did not move out the way. We did not embrace a young movement that was not unbiblical. They would just had a different style of worship with some different songs. We had our hymns. We had our Hezekiah Walkers. They had their Kirk Franklin. They got their Maverick City. And so you go back to the 90s, a lot of our churches split. A lot of our churches had our young people and young adults leave. Why? Because we didn't embrace that song Stomp by Kirk Franklin when it came out. We called it devil music. That's why he said, y'all think the gospel music is going too far. And a lot of churches preached about, not about helping the community, not about helping the young people, but bashing Kirk Franklin, bashing dress codes, bashing whether your dress is too short, whether you can't wear pants, whether you wear jeans on what Sunday. And so guess what? Young people and young adults walked out of our churches and they went down to the church who said, or a young preacher started a church in that city and said, hey, man, we love Kirk Franklin. He ain't done nothing unbiblical. He's not a devil worshiper. He's not this. There were some churches that had to vote in drums. He was one of them. You know what I'm saying? So all of these things, and now you wonder why young people are left us, because we still got that remnant in our church today. We try to hold on to an era and not embracing. When we all look back at our age, when did we get baptized? Most of us, as I did a survey in my church, they got baptized under the age of 18. So if the church was going and giving you opportunity to get saved, why not you give these young people opportunity to get saved? But guess what? God not going to stop if you're stubborn, like the children of Israel. They're going to let you die out, and God going to pass the anointing to somebody else. So don't get mad at the young preacher or the church who said, we're not going to be arguing about dress code and whether Kirk Franklin is a hip hop song or a devil song or whatever. We know it's not. Come on through, and guess what? Our young people walk, and now you got churches that are mega churches because we didn't get out the way. We didn't embrace young people. We thought a lot of them thought that their generation was the best. But look at the history. Has your church grown? Who churches are growing? The one who embrace young people and the one who not arguing about a lot of
things that don't even matter. About things that don't even matter. I think too, Pastor Turner, that a lot of times we old heads, we jock for position and power, but we don't use the position or the power that we have to make a difference and to make a change. I believe that God gives us power, prestige, and positions so that we can be good for the kingdom. And how can we be good for the kingdom if we leave out our children? Again, our children are not our future. They are the future. So when we were also talking earlier about a young man who has a 35-year record of success. Can you tell us a little bit about him and who he is?
Absolutely. Yeah, we were discussing about, what's a solution. I know we talked about a lot of problems about our community, our young people, the violence, the gang violence, and all that stuff. Those are things I have worked heavily in. That's what I'm known for, working with our young people on all levels, from juvenile, helping them to be successful. But here's the thing: there is a young man by the name of Jeffrey Canada with the G, Harlem Children's Zone. That's in Harlem. He's been doing this for 35 years. His 35-year record, he mentors the child from the womb.
What's his last name, Pastor?
Canada. Like the country, yeah, like the Canada. CANDA, yeah. CANADA. Jeffrey Canada with the G. He's in the Harlem Children's Zone. Anyone can look him up, hcz.org. He's been doing this, bought out the block of Harlem, several blocks. He has a charter school. He has mentoring. He has an after-school program. His success rate, everybody who goes to his charter school, everybody who don't go to his charter school but go to his after-school program, graduates at a 100% graduation rate. Not only that, they go off to college and got scholarships for 35 years straight. President Obama, adopted and tried to implement that particular program. You know, his fight against that, you know, the pushback, the state can say, we don't want it, or whatever the case. The cities can say, nah, we don't want it. And that's basically a knock, was trying to be a knock against Obama. But they did not embrace this movement. But he does have training institutions. Jeffrey Canada does. We have adopted some of those things. We're trying to adopt it. Of course, it takes money to build out that, but you can go and get the principles and start your own after-school program at your church. Start a nonprofit and go up there and get trained, or bring him down to train, and y'all put y'all money together to get the training to do at least his after-school program that has a 99% success rate of just taking their model. It's a proven model for 35 years. Obama took it and tried to make it a nationwide project. But those are the things that you have to do in addition to all the great, I know there's a lot of great organizations that do a lot of great things, and they work and mentor the youth. And I want y'all to continue to do that. But look at someone who has to have a 35-year track record, that every kid in one of the worst cities, the worst areas of New York, Harlem, turn that particular area around, and every kid for 35 years have gone on to college. And I'm not to say here to say every kid is, I hate when people say, you know, every kid not college material. Yes, every kid is college material. But if they choose to do a trade, I'm supportive of trade. I support our local unions and their after-school and their apprenticeship programs here, because every kid might not have the goal to go to college, but at least they are prepared and have the mind to go to college. And that's all we want to do, prepare them to go to college, but they want to choose to go do a trade, start a business, but at least you're prepared. And these are the things we have to do.
Because we know from statistics, and we know from history as well, one of the things that pushes crime up so high is poverty.
Yeah.
And one of the things that pushes poverty is uneducated. The lack of education. So if we educate our young sisters and our young brothers, our young children, and we educate them, that is a very great start to changing some things around. You know, it's hard for you to live the abundant life that God has given us authority to live when you're hungry, when you can't feed your family, when you don't have transportation here, there, and everywhere. And yes, there are a lot of great organizations out there. But one thing that we know for certain as well, a divided house will fall. Together we stand. And I think even in the church world, there's too much division. Why come we can't come together to help our children? Like you said, until it happens in your house, we tend to try to look over it or try not to make it such a big thing, but it is a big thing. And if it has not hit your house yet, it is soon to come if we do not do something different. We got to do something to help our children, which will better help our community and help us.
And let me say this, Reverend, that even with the trades, look, let's go back to the trades. 90,000, look, 60, 70, 80, $90,000 out the gate, the code. You ain't got to go to college. You can go and go to a certificate program, learn how to code. They got 80 to 90 to $100,000 jobs out the gate for learning a skill that's going to take you 6 months to get a certificate. Going to the apprenticeship program, shout out to Music City 3, Music City Construction here in Nashville. They got an apprenticeship program with all the unions. Shout out to the Central Labor Union. They have this program where they train for free to go into a union job or a union apprenticeship program for free, and they'll pay you while you're learning. And when you get certified, when you get that certificate, you are making from $60,000 to $100,000. Then you can start your own side business and all that, because you already got the training to be a plumber, to be an electrician, to do construction, to build houses. So there are different avenues. As you said, these are ways that you just take 2 weeks out of your time, grind, take a 6-month course in coding after you get off work, in 6 months, your life can change. In 6 months, you can get out of poverty. And these are the things that we got to do. Let's give our children options. Those who want to go to college, go college. Those who want to go trade, do hair, be the best person, and get trained to do that and make your money, get out of poverty, and stop that generational curse of poverty in your family just by finishing up school, staying out of trouble, get work, put your money together, grind it out, and then you get 18. And 2 weeks after you turn 18, you can be on a job site, or you can be on your road to get your coding degree while you're working. In 6 months, you're going to be offered a $60,000 to $80,000 to $100,000 job out the gate.
Right.
So these are the things that are there. We just got to promote it, push it, and that will help some of the poverty issues that are going on. But we got to be there to help open up our churches to do so, to have the classes, to promote these things on our sites and things of that nature. And then you'll see a change when it comes to poverty. And we know there's other issues that we understand from the government and what their attack on our Black community and just helping pushing poverty. But we got to do our part too, to try to fight. While we fight, we got some practical things we can do to help individuals get money, get out of poverty, and have a career where they can take care of their family in a major way.
Right. Well, I tell you what, I just want to give a shout out to everyone who's on the line right now. I appreciate you all the time. And we were asked a question. They said, where is it that when Obama was trying to implement, you said it was in New York, correct?
Yeah, what happened? Again, the Harlem Children's. I think you put the website there, hcz.org. That if you go and look at his program, he's been on 60 Minutes, he's been on CNN, Jeffrey Canada. He got books out, he got documentaries about him. His success is on YouTube, is documented. And President Obama took that program and said, this needs to be a national program. Of course, to do that in your city, you got to have a mayor who's on board with that. But here's the issue you talked about. When people don't move out the way, everybody wants to say, I'm the one that created it.
Right.
I'm the one that did it. I'm the one that put together this program. Well, you need to move out the way. That's you. And so you allowing people to suffer because you trying to get some glory. All you got to get the glory, all you got to do is say, move out the way, stand behind and say, you know what, we got a young man, we got a young woman that got a successful program. Let's implement that in our city. And we're going to back it 100% because they have done it in Harlem. Sure enough, we can do it in Nashville, Murfreesboro, Chattanooga, Memphis, Chi-Town. That works, hands down, for 35 years. But when people are selfish, they want to have their name on it, say I created it, and don't want to take a best practice, people suffer. And that's what's going on in our politics. You just got to get somebody who's humble enough to say, let me bring in the model. But people fought that. Persons fought that. Cities, councils fought that. Other people fought, maybe there were some persons who didn't like the program and they pushed against it. But people learn how to get out the way. Let the people who God got their hand on, just stand beside them. And when they go up, guess what? They're going to pull you up too. But you don't want the blessing. You don't want the overflow. Give me the overflow. I'll let you come in here and say, I give you all the credit. I just want to get in the back and get the overflow. Let me be the salsa as I lift you and hold you up. I don't give a flying flick about no doggone press or no doggone having, I did this. I just want to say, man, I brought this in and we helped so many thousand kids. And my joy is that we help a nation. We help the community. And people just got to learn how to get out the way, stop being selfish, and get off their ego. And you see some things change.
Yeah, that is so true. That is so true, Pastor Turner. And we do thank you so very much for all of your words of wisdom and the information that you gave to us, because we know that information is power. Knowledge is power. So we don't need to just know the information. We need to also not be hearers, but doers. Contact your congressman, your mayor of your city. Go to the different churches and let's band together. Again, together we stand. divided, we fall. So God is looking for some folk to step up to the plate. And we are responsible for our children. So let's do something about it. Thank you so very much, Pastor Turner, for coming on with us today. I hope to see everybody on tomorrow. Tomorrow is Freestyle Friday, and we're going to have a good time. And today, you guys, is Thankful Thursday. What are you thankful for? If we learn how to be thankful instead of murmuring and complaining, that is the first step for you living the abundant life that you have permission to live. Thank you so very much. And you guys have a blessed day. We'll see you tomorrow, same time, same place.